You are now listening to a member of the Disney Podcast family. Head over to Disney Podcast Family on Instagram to see all the latest posts for this show and links to other great Disney podcasts.
There was an idea. The idea was to bring together a group of remarkable people, see if they could become something more.
I have an army.
We have a Hulk.
This is the Marvel Tribe, brought to you by Walt's Apartment Podcast and the DisInsider.
Avengers!
Assemble.
What is up?
All right. Well, Lou and I, Sam, have assembled tonight to bring you our season finale recap of Secret Invasion. Not only is it essentially the season finale for Secret Invasion, but it's also our season finale for Marvel Tribe for season 3.
It is.
So how's it going tonight, Lou?
It's going good. I'm glad we are recording this before Undisputed, because if it's after, I'd probably be a little bit more aggressive this show. So I'm stoked that we are using this as the pregame.
Yes, I agree. I'm excited to join you guys over there tonight because that's not a show I'm typically on, but the topics tonight. So if you don't typically listen to Undisputed, you need to start because that's our catch-all, let's battle till the death type show. Speaking of battling to the death, we've got a very exciting Marvel Tribe live coming to you soon.
We do.
So
I'm excited for that.
I am too. Lou is going to create essentially his Avengers from anyone in MCU comics. We're just going to go for it. And then I'm going to create my Avengers and we're going to do a celebrity death match type of thing. So be sure to be on the lookout for those details. We've got more fun things coming from Marvel Tribe as we wait for season 2 of Loki to come. We're going to do a Loki season 1 recap and kind of fill in some of the blanks that people might be missing, namely Sean, our beloved Nick Fury of podcasts. But speaking of Nick Fury, what did you think of this episode, Lewis?
So I am all over the place. I score-wise, there's parts of this episode where I'm sitting high 8.5, even 9. And then there's parts of this episode where it really drags me down to like a low 6, high 5. And I'm like, overall, the episode, I think, delivered what we were expecting to get, but on a free sample portion size. So we got the commercial of like the juicy cheeseburger and all that. We got the juicy cheeseburger, but it was the size of like a small burger. Like they didn't really emphasize the size shown to what we got. But
I was completely hit from the left side by what we actually did see, though.
Exact same. I was hit with the left side. I was like, okay, all right. I was excited, but I just felt like,
there are a lot of people who are really mad about what happened, right?
And I'm not going to say there's people that should be rightfully mad. I'm not going to say they're wrong because I'm in the middle. I'm not mad.
I am too. Speaking of what happened, so instead of just being vague, we can just say that we see Nick Fury going in to take Gravik the Harvest, which is the collection of all of the Avengers and superpowered beings' DNA all in one vial. And we actually get to hear this empowered. I actually felt bad for Gravik for a second.
Yeah, same.
So we get this speech from Gravik talking about how Fury let him down. And he's hurt. He's coming out of a place of hurt, but now it's vengeance. I want blood, and I don't care whose blood it is. I don't care if it's human blood. I don't care if it's Skrull blood. I just want blood. So we see Gravik put the harvest into the machine, power it up. He's in the middle of the machine that generates the power with what looks to be a very ill Nick Fury from radiation poisoning. And they both get impacted by the harvest DNA, but it's not Nick Fury. It is Gaia under the guise of Nick Fury. So we already had her as a Super Skrull. And we have Gravik, who is a Super Skrull. So we got a Super Skrull Avenger face-off. That battle was awesome. But it's kind of scary what Marvel just did, what the MCU just did.
And there's a few things for me that one, I thought the battle was epic. So with the harvest, I'm gonna start with that. I thought the way they did it was kind of cool. I thought there was a lot of Marvel characters on that list that I felt shouldn't have been on that list.
Like who?
One, Black Panther.
Okay.
I felt because one, it's blood, but that's more of a ritual how he gets his powers. So I feel like that one, it took Shuri really put everything she's got to recreate that flower. Okay. And now the Avengers just have it gray zones Shuri's hard work in Wakanda Forever. She really
honestly, it makes you kind of sad when you think about it, because if Nick Fury had his DNA the entire time.
Mm-hmm. So like that, and I get where some fans are like, oh, well, there's a confusion on their names. Why do they use Captain America, not Steve Rogers? And I get that. It's a creative decision. And it's the impact.
They could have been, for me, that was their government files.
Yeah.
And their project files.
And it wasn't that big of a deal. It sucked that there wasn't that much thought in it, but it's a TV show. At some point, they're going to lack the story for just the vision itself. And I was okay with that. I also am kind of okay with now basically the entire catalog of Avengers and villains and everybody are now running through Gaia and Gravik's blood veins. I'm okay with that. I do think they should have tapered some back, but okay, let's see how Thanos was supposed to be the big baddie with all the Infinity Stones. The Avengers figured out a way to overcome that. Yes. Superheroes become stronger when they're beat, and they have to realize we have to level up ourselves. And obviously Gaia killed Gravik from what we've seen.
Which is what I don't understand, because if he's a Super Skrull.
Yeah, well, she blew out half his chest. You can only recreate so much, but I do think Marvel is on a slippery slope with this. I'm not going to say they messed up, but I do think they really have to watch what they're doing, I guess you could say, because now it can get a little dicey. But I think, if anything, the one thing that bugged me was the CG of it. The CG took me out of the fight. Gaia with her chicken wing arm of Drax really bugged me. I was like, that's who you're going to open with? Like, all these great CGs we've seen in this show, and that's the what? It just took me out of the fight for a little bit. But I'm curious to see what Marvel does with this.
So I agree with you. There are a lot of people who are very upset by the fact that there is now this Avenger-powered Super Skrull. And I've heard things like, well, why does the MCU even need to continue? Because they can just call Gaia for everything, or Gaia can take care of anything, or Gaia will win every battle. Well, like Lou just said, give our writers some credit and let the story unfold. So, yeah, nobody was supposed to be able to beat Thanos. It was figured out. They are setting up. And right now, we don't know if Gaia is going to be a villain. We don't know if Gaia is going to be an anti-hero. We don't know if Gaia is going to be a hero. We know that Gaia is in control of whatever she wants to be, though.
Mm-hmm. And that's a cool thing about us. We have Gaia, potentially a villain. We have Kang, who's obviously the villain in what they're setting up for the MCU. Who else is out there that we really haven't got closure on? We have no idea what Valentina's doing still. We have remnants in the MCU. Those that are reading comics kind of know what she may
and
be
now
up to.
Fallsworth, like whatever her agenda is.
Yeah, like so we have I like that we have kind of a free roaming set of villains, because now Marvel has already set it up where all the movies are intertwined. You don't get a whole lot of origin stories no more. Even in origin stories, Spider-Man, when they try to redo that, Iron Man showed up. So, I mean, we're going to get pieces of like baby gap Avenger movies. So it's nice. And I'm a fan of seeing the villain survive one or two movies. I really like that part. I like that Iron Man died at the end of Infinity War. Well, kind of died and then came back for the most part. I like that ending. I thought that was really cool because it makes Endgame hit even harder. Me personally, I'm still on the fence that says Iron Man should have died at that scene, but I'm one of few. I think I like seeing a villain take off at the end of the movie because like, all right, we're going to get more. They're not done yet. Because for a little while there, every Marvel movie, it's like, we don't really care what happens because we know you're going to beat them at the end of this movie. This was nice to see kind of a loose end.
Yes, I agree entirely with that. And I also liked the added element of Fallsworth. I also like the added element of Fallsworth coming up to Gaia after she left and saying, my people and your people, because then that makes me think that Fallsworth's people are not the human race.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, are we talking another alien race, Chitauri? Are we talking some different kind of Skrull race? Are we talking David and like chatted about it a little bit? And he said, what if she's a witch and she's trying to protect her fellow witches, and this is going to lead us into Agatha all along?
I think that would be tight because I feel like one reason why like the Doctor Strange movies are kind of sometimes Doctor Strange, Shang-Chi are not some of the fan favorites is because their craft, their power, so to say, is something that is not, I don't want to say not superhero, but it's almost along the same line as like Iron Man being not necessarily an enhanced human being by DNA, but by mech. I feel like that would give another branch of humans. I mean, we're gonna get into the X-Men realm sooner than later. I mean, unfortunately,
Namor has said that he's a mutant.
Yep. And we're starting to dabble with that a little bit. I'm really
and we heard about it in Miss Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
So there are lots of things to come that are very capable of handling Gaia.
Yep.
If they were all teamed together. And there's a lot of storylines that can come to play here.
And Gravik was killed using Miss Marvel's power. So obviously, Miss Marvel can take out, or Captain Marvel, not Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel can obviously take out Gaia with that chest blast of whatever.
So we're actually hearing that Captain Marvel is the most powerful being in the MCU right now. I mean, I'm assuming aside from Gaia. So I've not followed too closely in what we're getting with the Marvels, but I did go to take my daughter to get a Happy Meal the other day, and her toy was Princess Carol, and it was Carol Danvers in a princess dress. So I am very intrigued by what's going to be happening there. I know, but Nick Fury's there. He was another toy. Captain Marvel was another toy.
The Flarkin was there.
The Flarkin was another toy.
I have like
Goose.
3 of those lying around my house right now.
Yeah. So, but Princess Carol, I'm like, okay, so either she is being crowned like Queen of Skrulls for some reason, or are we dealing with the multiverse here?
Or is that like a parody to a scene like where Miss Marvel is, I don't know, in some type of Avengers Con 2.0 maybe, and they swap spots and it's like a parody scene where now Miss Marvel's in a wedding scene or Captain Marvel's in a wedding scene and now Miss Marvel's out in the universe. I mean, that movie looks really good. It has me intrigued. I have no idea what's going on, which is cool because that's what reminds me of the original Marvel movies. That like the first 10, I was like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm ready. And I was not the biggest fan of Captain Marvel. Not that the movie wasn't bad. Not that the movie was bad. I think timing. For me, I didn't really care for that story because I already seen her in Avengers. I was like, we know where you end up, so I'm not worried about it. But this one, I think, is going to help bring that movie up to par, bring Miss Marvel from a Disney show to the cinematic universe, but then is it Monica Rambeau, right?
Yeah, Photon.
Yep. Bring her into the big screen as well and really just harness those three as a trio, which I'm really excited to see how that plays out.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping one thing that they did not give us in this show, I hope we hear more about Saber. Saber. Because that's the only, if I had to say one big negative of the whole season, was that we got little to no talk on that at all. And that seems to be a big pillar now in the MCU.
But what we did get is, so it was kind of disheartening and confusing that it wasn't Nick, that it was Gaia, because you hear that speech about how humans should be living at being, or humans need, and scrolls need to be protected on Earth, and he couldn't find them a home, and about how basically he wanted to be dead after the blip, and like things were easier. So you get all of these things and you think you're getting this like complex story of Nick Fury, but it's not actually Nick Fury. And Gaia doesn't have his memories because he's not in the machine.
Again, going back to the Rhodey and Nick Fury's first conversation in the series, the writing in this, I think, was a little rushed and a little sloppy because me and David had that conversation that, Fury's playing chess. He's waiting to see Rhodes. That episode, the one before, when he's really debating shooting Rhodes and all that stuff, and he starts realizing that, I honestly don't think he realizes Rhodes was a Skrull when he called him Nick at that dining room table. I think the writing, again, like I've shared before, the writing in this show seemed a little rushed, and this episode seemed even more rushed because it was only like a 32-minute episode, and for the climax we got, I think it was shortchanged by a lot. I think the writing was because, the Nick Fury we got when they were giving the harvest, not only that, when did Nick Fury give Gaia the harvest? Because the Nick Fury we got grabbed the harvest, so now we're missing that giant chunk of gameplay. They could have gave us that in this episode and made it a long episode, or even a flashback of after she beat Gravik, like this is how it happened.
Yeah,
but
I agree with that.
We're missing something, and that, unfortunately, is just the nature of the beast that we're seeing common in the Disney Plus Marvel shows.
Yep, and then we see the battle scene. And then there's also a whole bunch of chaos going on at the hospital where the president is. President is not a Skrull. President is very untrusting of everyone right now, though. We see Rhodey basically telling him he needs to blow Russia up. And the call gets put in, and Fallsworth, love her, calls Rhodey and says, you need to move the president. Fury is coming. So Secret Service are all moving the president around with Rhodey's direction to different floors. They're all being taken out by Fallsworth, but she is a master at what she does. I love that scene because I really thought, okay, we're going to find who she's playing, because I really believe that Nick Fury was Gravik. So I was not expecting him to be there. She's playing Rhodes now, and she's up to come in, and we're going to see who she really is. And then boom, no, he really was on his way. Since we found out Gaia was there, he was on his way. But Falsworth was definitely on Nick. She's definitely on Nick Fury's side during this show. She used him for her needs, and she has no problem telling Gaia that she will use her and let her be used for mutual benefits. And she's like, I'm not trying to, promise you anything. I'm not trying to give you anything. I have things I need met and you have things you need met. Let's use each other. And honestly, I really, really want to see where that story goes, because I would be super excited about her being tied to Agatha.
Oh, absolutely. I'm on the same boat. I want to see more of her character. She was the only one besides Gravik. I think Gravik had a cool story arc, but I think hers is the only one that left with the cliffhanger. Everybody else, I mean,
you understood what was happening.
Yeah, Fury's ending in this show was, I don't know. I thought it was kind of lame, if I'm being honest, but I thought hers was probably the best. Rhodey really bugged me this last episode because I'm like, how can nobody tell? He's not himself. Like, I like the swagger he had up until this episode. This episode, like, how is Rhodes pulling and calling all the shots? He's a higher ranked officer, but he's not like the wingman to the president. Like, he's not the vice president. He's none of that.
But we also haven't seen the pieces in between where maybe he has been pulling those strings and he has been, weaseling his way in as a Skrull and saying, hey, Mr. President, like, you're busy. Let me call those shots for you, which we did see when he went to answer to the UN.
Yep.
He said, the president's a very busy man, so I've been sent. Well, he is kind of pulling the strings because the president's too busy or being told he's too busy. Hey, you're too busy, Mr. Prez. Let me do it. So we don't know how long David has a theory.
I think David's right. I think it's since Civil War, but in
Civil War, when Rhodey basically gets paralyzed.
Yep.
Tony Stark tries to fix him up, and then we're like, hey, everything's great. Rhodey's great. No, because the Rhodey that we see released from those chambers, man can't walk. He's very weak. Basically had to be carried out of there. And Gaia says, Sergeant Rhodes, you've been here for a long time. You're weak. But Gaia wouldn't necessarily know what happened at Civil War.
Yeah, see, for me, I think if that's it, which it only makes sense. He's in a hospital gown, like, it only makes sense. But I think that's going too far back. I want to say the second episode when Rose appeared, we're like, how far? And we didn't think they take it that far back. But that, you almost need a show to tell us about this, because he plays in a lot of key roles that if Gravik's main role was to get the Avengers, their blood, this and that, so Gravik was a groundsman for Fury after Infinity War, but why would you have a Skrull work the ranks up to Rhodes? Because at that point, Gravik is still working for Fury to try to find a new home. So therefore, Gravik doesn't have this vengeance yet. Civil War is way before Infinity War, so why do you have a Skrull working their ranks to be Rhodes? And at that time, Rhodes is really a nobody. So I think they went too far back to place him as a Skrull.
Unless there's something that we don't have.
There's definitely something we don't have.
Maybe Gravik isn't the one who put him in captivity.
Yeah, but that's a hard one, because then
maybe it's Vara.
Maybe. But does Vara I honestly think they don't intend on anybody to look that deep into it, which we are, but
they should know better from their fandom.
Yes. They're, especially these days. Yeah, I personally think they went too far back. if they're not going to give us anything else, like if this is the end of this series, which it obviously is, but if they're not going to touch on Skrulls besides Gaia being the only Skrull now, the only, what's the word I'm looking for? The only one they're focused on, obviously there's millions of Skrulls, but the only one they're focused on, I feel like they went too far back. But if they do plan on playing on Rhodes' story, then cool, give us some more. But if they don't, I think they went too far.
I would honestly, I don't want another episode of Secret Invasion. I would love to see more of Rhodes' story. And we know when Ross was taken. That was Wakanda Forever, when he was being broken out of the back of the van by Shuri, or Okoye, I think it was. So we know he was taken then. But yeah, it was an interesting episode. So Gaia is releasing everybody because the strike is on its way. And what was your question before I go into the hospital?
Yeah, before you go, so with Rhodes, if for me it was too far back, when do you think would have been a perfect way to pull Rhodes without it interrupting the story? Because he's been through a lot, and now you just made his story completely irrelevant in the entire thing of Infinity War and all that stuff. When do you think would have been a good spot for him to be pulled for this story to? Because obviously, I would be surprised if we get anything. So when do you think would have been a better spot for him to be pulled?
Oh, I don't know.
Me, I think at the end of Infinity War, during the blip, because did Skrulls get blipped? I mean, I don't know if Skrulls were immune
on Earth. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, and the thing is, because it's not on Earth, because obviously Tony Stark and Spider-Man got blipped way out, light years away.
Right.
So, I mean, that's a whole nother deep dive. But if Skrulls were not or were immune to the blip, that would have been a perfect time to bag and snag them, because then it could have been the blip when you got him. And at that point, Gravik's already pre-gaming for him to make Earth his home. And Infinity War just laid the work like, oh, we're getting the blood for all these guys? Yeah, this is where we take over.
Yeah, I definitely see that too.
So I think Infinity War would have been the perfect spot, because he was here outside the blip.
So, you ready to dive into the hospital?
Yes.
So we see the president being pushed all around by Rhodey, Skrull Rhodey, and the Secret Service. And then we basically see Fallsworth confront him in front of the president. And the president is definitely listening to what she's saying, because remember what Rhodey told the president? That Fallsworth was the one who told him to make the call.
Yep.
And so Rhodey is telling her, like, you're a Skrull, like, you're one of them. And she's like, am I really, though? Or is it you? And then Nick Fury comes, and basically they're all pointing guns at each other. The president took a gun from the Secret Service agent. He doesn't know who to shoot. He doesn't know who's a Skrull. He doesn't want to accidentally kill somebody. He is so confused, that poor man. Bless his heart. But then we see Fury take the shot.
Mm-hmm.
And then the president's kind of like, ugh, when he sees Rhodey all scrolly. And instead of taking into what Nick Fury was saying and having empathy for the Skrulls, the president waged an all-out war against the Skrulls.
Which I like that part. I didn't look at it as, I like that part of the show, because when he said that, I was like, oh, here we go. And then when Fury said, now you have people going around shooting people at random, assuming they're Skrulls, I like that part, because when the president did that, that felt like the natural stance. But then when Fury said that, I was like, oh my gosh, that was a bad call. And I was in for it. until Fury said that. So I liked that part of the writing because I was all in. I was like, oh, here we go. And
it gave you a little bit of a roller coaster in that last episode.
It was. I enjoyed that scene quite a bit. Not people just getting blasted, but it was a quick plot twist that I bought into and immediately realized, damn, I was on that guy's side just a minute ago. And I really enjoyed that part of the writing.
Yeah. I was sad to see the president react that way because I was like, why hasn't he been briefed by anybody like to figure out what's really going on here? He didn't tell him that there's just like this small sector of Skrulls who are against them and that most of them are already dead because Gravik, their leader, killed them, and Gravik is supposedly dead. Again, in the MCU, you never know if somebody is officially dead. And it doesn't really make sense that Gravik is dead because he's a super Skrull, and that means he has essentially the super soldier serum. So,
and he's got the extremist where he just rebuild. I mean, yeah, he's got everything. I think the president making that call was a reflection of things going on today, because I feel like this show really tugged on the heartstrings of a lot of challenges we face today in society, especially when like Fury would go down memory lane, talking about when he was a kid, his mom, the stuff they did and had to do. I think it was a representation of what we battle today. The president went right away to what he knows. And not only that, I mean, Captain America said it in Winter Soldier.
I can do this all day? No,
no.
I had to. Sorry.
That was great timing. When he sees the 3 helicarriers, he's like, this isn't this is fear. And I think that was just kind of like a little nod to exactly how general humans, because they're not enhanced or nothing like that, think like, no, they go into the fight or flight mode. And I think that was a representation of that. And I mean, the president this entire series had laid no pull at all. It was all emotion driven. So it sucked, but at the same time, I see why he did it. He was just like, nope, as a president, I'm acting.
But also, as we were talking about earlier, Rhodey's kind of been making the calls for him.
Yep.
So he doesn't even really know how to do his job informed because he's not been doing it. He's been letting other people do it for him and spoon feed him misinformation. So we got to say he's doing the best that he can, but he could have done better.
Yep. I mean, yeah, he was ready to blow up Russia off of a manila file and a photo. So, I mean, yeah, he's not thinking at all. I mean, he's just acting. And now that you know, obviously the president's aware we've, enhanced human beings, whether they're naturally enhanced or medically enhanced or they're whatever they are, it's well known. So at this in the MCU, the president is no longer top tier. Like you're a CEO of a company. You got Nick Fury running a base in space with a team that you don't even know. Like you're no longer the king on the chessboard. You're maybe on your best day a rook on the chessboard. So he's just like, yeah, dude, I'm here 9 to 5. I don't know. I need to clock out soon.
Yeah, which is kind of scary because I mean, not to get too political, but that's essentially what goes on in most, like in the U.S. Like the our presidents have often been puppets. So, so that's essentially what was portrayed in the show.
Yep. I mean, the Captain America series and now this, I think, has a very fantasy but very close to home storyline of what everyday battles are, no matter what pair of shoes you wear.
For American people, yeah.
Yep.
So we did get some more information though. Nick Fury's not going to Saber alone. We got to see him call Vara and essentially tell her goodbye. You can tell that we are seeing the end of Nick Fury wanting to do this.
Yep.
We are seeing Nick Fury ready to settle down with Vara, aka Priscilla. and just retire, like for good. But he has to still figure out what's going to happen with the Skrulls. And, there's a council meeting. He's got to go up to Saber for that meeting. And after calling Vara, she ends up showing up when he's about to take off to head to Saber. And they have a conversation. And again, she's asking him about if he would love her in her true form as a Skrull. Yep. And he showed us that he does. We saw him kiss her as a Skrull, which was, not gonna lie, kind of cringe. Good for them, but seeing Nick Fury kissing an alien face is kind of cringe.
Especially because the creative design, she had 2 bottom lips, which kind of bugged me. I was like, huh? I'm gonna be honest. I thought the Vara and Nick Fury story was probably the weakest pillar of this show. I didn't find it interesting. And except for the one scene where they shot each other but missed on purpose, that was a cool little Mr. and Mrs. Smith vibe. But Vara's story, I mean, she played a role in some parts, but I felt like that story for those two didn't really get me emotionally involved. I was just kind of
but there's hope for them still. I think honestly, the role of putting their relationship on display like that was to prepare us as fans for his retirement, so that we would have some emotional tie to, Nick Fury can't retire. He's Nick Fury. Well, no, Nick Fury kind of needs to go do his own thing and be with his wife, who he's been away from, and she's had to mourn him, mourn him multiple times, and now she's going to go up to Saber with him to be a liaison and help him with the negotiations or whatever is going to be happening, because the Skrulls may be going back home.
Yep.
So there's going to be peace talks.
I don't know. I think Fury going out because a love life, I think that was kind of it's a bland exit for Fury. I'm not. I mean, we've gotten that.
Well, the thing is, if he goes out like that, it allows them to bring him back if they feel like they need to unretire him.
No, I think it's time for Fury to retire.
I know, but let's say something happened and they needed to unretire him, or they wanted to pull him out for a cameo and be like, well, there's only one man for this job, 5 shows down the road. There's only one man who can help with this job. And then Fury shows up to do something badass for a second and then he's gone. You still have that tool available to you.
No, and I like that. But I think this whole, I don't know, for me, obviously, Captain America, Steve Rogers, he had the lady he loved that we saw. Iron Man, him and Pepper Potts, we saw it. We grew with that. Even Hawkeye and his wife and kids' small cameo was enough. So when you saw his kids getting the blip, was it hurt. This relationship between Fury and Vara, if Vara died, I'd probably was oh, that sucks. There was nothing in this storyline for them, especially considering they never.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't think that the storyline was for Vara's character development. I think it was just to kind of give him to give fans a sense of he has a home that he needs to be at.
But I get that. I get that. But I don't like the mysterious part. I like the mysterious part they did with Fury. I mean, we find out in this one he has a home now. We find out that the Skrulls have been working for him and doing all his dirty work. I mean, they really just took all the mystery from Fury, how he learns all this, away. And now you're almost you don't need him. You have a super Skrull that was already doing what he's doing. Like Fury, what are you here for now? Retire.
Well, now he's doing peace talks.
Yeah.
So we'll see what's going to happen. He's obviously going to be a big part of the Marvels.
Yes.
So he has a role still yet to play. But I think, honestly, it was such a short episode. I think that we have covered all of the scenes, haven't we?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, it was the fight scene that opened it up. It was the and then
The
it was the hospital and him and Vara. I mean,
and then Fallsworth and Gaia.
Yeah, it was a really short episode. I mean, it was only, I think, without credits, it was like 32 minutes.
And there were no post-credit scenes.
Which I was mad about because there was a clip going around. I stayed away from it because I saw the cover art of it. And I was super mad. I was like, are we seeing that? And it was I don't know, I haven't still watched the clip, but the clip art that I saw was like Harrison Ford hulked out red as fuck. And I was like, what? Are we going to get that?
Are we getting Red Hulk?
I don't know, but that clip art was out there by a source that has been pretty common on calling things out before they happen. So
there is a very good chance that we get Red Hulk in the MCU soon. And I mean, David has mentioned World War Hulk multiple times. So there's a possibility that we get Red Hulk. But is it going to be Harrison Ford? Probably not.
I mean, if they did, it'd be a smart move because Harrison Ford is up there in age, and he's playing Thunderbolt Ross, who the actor that originally played him has passed on. So it'd be a very unique way for them to bring him in, sell it to us, turn him into Red Hulk, and then you just have
They absolutely could do that because I totally forgot about the Thunderbolts. I forgot about the Thunderbolts. I forgot about Thaddeus Ross until you just said that because I absolutely just forgot about the Thunderbolts. I can't believe that. So that works for Red Hulk then. Because then he can be Red Hulk in there, and then you only have to worry about him being. And they can. I mean, I don't think they. Because Red Hulk doesn't go Hulk and then back and forth like Banner and She-Hulk did. If I'm not mistaken, once Red Hulk. Yeah. So then they can have, they have Harrison Ford do the Lifetime script where they have all his sounds and dialogue, and then boom, you have Red Hulk. It can be like James Earl Jones as Darth Vader, where you never see him in the movie, just his voice. Yeah. But yeah, it was an interesting ending with no end credit scene on that. It was very interesting. We did get a Loki teaser for trailer 2. We did. Do you want to pull that up really quick? And I'll talk while we're doing that. We can actually go over that. We've got a few minutes left before we have to go record Undisputed. So we could talk about that Loki season 2 trailer. I actually haven't watched it yet because I went and took a 3.5-hour hike today for some reason. Hey, that's awesome though. So I've watched it once. All right, so we can watch it and we'll see what we've got going. If you are listening to the audio version of the podcast and you would like to see the video, you can head on over to Patreon, where we do put the video recordings up. You also get other exclusive perks on Patreon. Just look for Walt's Apartment, a Disney podcast. You get access to our Discord and inside scoops into show planning. You get entered into monthly giveaways, and it's really fun. So go join us on Patreon. You can get the video footage of what we're watching right now, or you can find the trailer. It's pretty much everywhere. Disney Plus has released it. All right, here we go. Can you hear it? All right, cool.
Hobie? Hello? We have a little bit of a situation we wanted to run by you.
Mobius! Wow! Great to see you again.
That's what's been happening.
Wow. Time slipping.
Wait, you know that?
Yeah.
You've seen that?
Oh,
yeah.
that
Fix that.
No.
That's the Marvels.
Time slipping
That's
TVA.
what's happening with the Marvels.
Know, but we just saw it happen.
Oh, good eye. I didn't even think about those.
But theirs is connected to their DNA.
Pulled through time between the past and the present.
Hello?
If what I saw is true, there's nothing.
Oh, so theirs isn't time slipping; it's location.
Only one way to find out. A little good old-fashioned legwork. Listen, we have different styles. You're a man of action, which is fine. I take a more slow, deliberate, cerebral approach. It's really goodbye. It's up to us to save this place.
Is this cracked?
Yes, babe.
Whatever we do, we're playing God.
We are gods.
Was that Sylvie?
But how
Yeah.
do you choose
Well,
who lives and who dies?
head lady.
Make the hard choice. It's him.
Okay, so that's what
War is on
I
its
thought the
way.
Guardians. I think.
Come on, you're the god of mischief. Always have been. Always will be.
A little over the top, don't you think?
Just a
I
little.
thought it was spot on.
October 6th, streaming on Disney Plus. Okay. So we will definitely be covering Loki season 2 the same way that we've done for Secret Invasion and all of the other Disney Plus shows, episode by episode. But okay, that was Sylvie though, because why did she look different to me?
That was the part that was getting me. It was like the same 4 characters in all different like themes and styles and timelines, and it was real.
So
It
did you
took
watch
me-
the ending, the trailers after Guardians? I believe it was Guardians. There were scenes in that were with King the Conqueror talking to Loki.
The
So the one-
opera, the
with the mustache?
Yes.
The playwriting, yeah. So that I wasn't thinking that was going to be in Loki season 2. I'm sitting there thinking it's going to be in the King Dynasty, which we also know is coming. So it was really exciting to see that wasn't a spoiler and that we're getting that in Loki season 2. So it's so much sooner in October. But I'm going to take back what I was saying during the clip playing. That's not what's happening with the Marvels. So the Marvels is like a genetic thing where they are genetically linked. So Lokis are not genetically linked in the same way on different timelines. So I don't think that they're time slipping in the Marvels. Obviously the case in, because they switch places in the Marvels.
Yeah.
Right now they're not switching places. Loki is just literally being zapped out of wherever he is and popped into a different timeline. So there's been a tear probably in the main timeline. I am super excited to continue to see the relationship building between Mobius and Loki because they are absolutely hysterical. Owen Wilson does a fantastic job playing Mobius.
Yes.
I hope he gets his jet ski still. I'm going to forever say I hope he gets his jet ski. So I'm really excited. Really, really excited.
I'm excited for this one. I'm excited because, especially based on this trailer, it leaves you wondering what in the fuck is actually going on. Because at this point, Loki was the first one to see King. Loki is kind of at fault for King's reign right now and really getting all over the place. But also, too, this is a story that now is evolving in its own world, so to say. It's not even... I mean, obviously, it's gonna the effects of it will have something to do with the MCU in a whole, but this is really turning out to be a solid series. But my worry, and I'm gonna state it every time, is the length of episodes. It was a great trailer. It gave me cinema vibes. It did not give me TV show vibes, and that's what's gonna worry me. But if they can do it justice, they're getting a little bit better, but I'm excited to see where this goes because Tom Hiddleston now, I think, has the most screen time of anybody else in the MCU at this point. So contractually wise, business wise, how much more do they have that man making money? Because right now, I mean, he's got to be swimming like Scrooge McDuck in Disney money. So I'm really curious.
I will let them give Disney continue to give that man money.
He's a great character, and they've been consistent with them. It's not Thor. He didn't go from Thor badass to Thor.
Oh, Thor is such an idiot.
Thor, and I mean, I love the Guardians 1 and 2. Infinity War, the Russo brothers ruined the Guardians for me. Guardians Holiday Special brought me back in. Guardians 3 was pretty cool, but Loki is one of the few, kind of like Cap, where he's had a solid, steady growth in the MCU. Everybody else, I feel like we've already seen their arc, with the exclusion of Chadwick Boseman. I feel like we did not get enough of him, but everybody else, I think we've seen their arc, and it's like, okay. But Cap and Loki are probably two that we've seen and continue to surprise us.
Yes. And we know, like, I personally don't think Cap is gone forever. I know a lot of people think he is, and some people say he's coming back from the moon.
It's hard to say, because obviously when we're taking ourselves out of the MCU, Chris Evans is very much still able to play Cap. So I don't see him being gone. I mean, if Hugh Jackman can come back as Wolverine, anybody coming back, even Robert Downey Jr. can come back in some way, some form. If they do that, though, I feel like a lot of fans, for at least for Iron Man, would be pissed.
You can do it with Cap.
Yeah.
Because he's still alive. If you do that with Robert Downey Jr., that's just blasphemy.
Well, there is one way you can bring back Iron Man without bringing back
in a timeline.
Not timeline, but you bring him back as, I want to say we've talked about this before.
Or a flashback.
Flashback, or he becomes the Jarvis voice system for Avengers, where it's just his voice, an artificial visual, like how they did with the guy in Captain America, where it's not actually him, but it's still RDJ, but in a computer form. He's the new Jarvis. He integrated himself in the system. Being how arrogant he is, he would do something like that so you still hear him and see him, but you don't bring him back where he's suiting up to fight with the Avengers in his traditional way.
No, you just hear his voice. I like that idea. I really do. So do we have anything else we want to talk about on this episode? We've covered everything. Okay, let's talk about overall ranking for the series on Secret Invasion.
Gotcha. You go ahead. I got to take a call real quick. You go ahead first.
Okay. So I am going to give the overall series a 7. There were some things that I definitely thought needed to be brushed out further. We lost a lot of things, like in regards to the backstory. There's a lot of missing pieces. So we talked about that and saying, like, there were pieces we wanted to see with Rhodey, and there were some missing components for me. I also was a little disheartened in how beautiful Gravik was speaking in the last episode, for him to die literally 2 minutes later. So for me, I feel like I had to take a point off for that, because they could have done a lot with his character still. Like, you just introduced this character. You just created this villain. There was so much they could have done with him. And I understand, like, we want one Super Skrull. But again, we don't know if Gravik is dead. So I'm going to stand for I'll say a 7 right now.
Show overall, I'm a little bit less. I'm at a 6. I thought there was a lot of, like how they say in YouTube, clickbait. I feel like there was a lot of that. You had Martin Short coming in for absolutely nothing. Maria Hill, I mean, she never came back.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're gonna kill her off by an imitation of Nick Fury, you should have really built that up. Show her in this series.
Or you would have brought her back before Nick Fury left for space.
Yeah. Have her come in. Have her stay in the show longer. Have her die when at Nick's, like, where he's really needing her. That part right there, if he's playing chess and he usually knows his moves, she should have known hers. To not be prepared for Nick to come around firing, I felt we shared it. It was a discredit to Maria Hill. I think the season finale was, on paper, it probably sounded better than what we got. It wasn't bad, but I think it was a bit sloppy. It wasn't put together very well. But for me, I think the show overall it's about a 6. And because I'll say it a million times, after episode 3, it really started slipping. It's like, damn,
Always
we
does.
almost ran out of money and we ran out of time. We need to start hurrying up because we only have 3 episodes left, but only an hour and 40 minutes of screen time. And I think Marvel and Disney, because there are some other shows that are not Marvel, I think right now they are cheaping the system. They are building shows out of movie scripts and saying, oh, this is a 2.5 hour movie. Don't cut so much, make it a 3 hour movie, and we'll chop it into shows. I really do. The only ones I don't believe that was a thing was Moon Knight and Werewolf by Night, because those ones I feel didn't have that same vibe, but everything else directly tied to the MCU feels like it was movie first, show was a second thought.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that entirely. I do feel like WandaVision was the opposite. And
WandaVision, wasn't it 10 episodes?
Yes.
9 or 10?
I think it was 9. But I definitely think that WandaVision set up so much of this current phase and the next, so we got to see it inform the multitude, oh my gosh, the multiverse of madness. Mm-hmm. We got to see it inform the Marvels, mm-hmm. because Photon was introduced with Monica Rambeau. So we also have no idea what's going on with White Vision.
We forgot something. What in season finale of Secret Invasion, was that her brother from the other Marvel universe?
Do you mean the Silver Surfer?
Yes,
I think so.
When we started going down WandaVision, I'm like, dude, we just skipped over that scene where
Silver Surfer.
Yeah, which is weird because
why?
I mean,
I mean it's weird because why? Why
is he? I mean, I think it would have had more weight to it if it was her brother from Age of Ultron. I think that would have been mind blowing.
Yeah,
but
true.
To have that, I thought that was a fun little cameo in WandaVision. But to see him there, are we gonna throw Days of Futures Past in here now? Like, how does that all work? If that was him, it looked just like him.
I mean, we'll have to check the cast list and see if it's Evan Peters. I didn't check, but it does look just like him. So we'll have to look back on the cast list and see if Evan Peters is listed.
Yeah, I just thought about that right now. We're talking about WandaVision. And also WandaVision did have more episodes, but the first 3 episodes were just like parodies to old TV shows with
they were funny though.
Oh, they were. I loved how
we literally geeked out so hard. Like, you weren't on the tribe at that point. We sat here drooling over every single episode of WandaVision.
WandaVision it's my second favorite one.
It's my favorite. Well, no, it's my second favorite. Actually, was your first?
My first is Moon Knight.
Oh, that's right. I really like Moon Knight's probably my third. I really like Moon Knight too. So my first was actually one that you're going to disagree with.
Oh,
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, that one. That one is fighting at the bottom. Like, it's so not...
but for me, it was because it was informing so much. It was introducing another young Avenger. It was introducing Isaiah Bradley's story. And I was like, there's so much they can do with this. Like, we could get another Captain America sitcom or movie out of this. Not a sitcom, but another series.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier was...
They've done nothing with it. They've done nothing with it. And then we saw a new Falcon and we saw a new Captain America, and they've done nothing with it. So it's disheartening for me at this point because I don't know what they're going to do with it. I haven't really seen any of it teased anywhere.
Yeah.
But for the time being, I thought they were going to give us a lot more, and I thought it was going to feed into other shows.
Right now, Falcon and the Winter Soldier is on the lower half of my favorites, but I hate to say this, but right now, if I was to level them up and say who's standing where, I think Secret Invasions is at the lower bottom for me. Probably even dead last, because I felt like Hawkeye's story was more consistent throughout the show.
Hawkeye is dead last for me, for sure.
But yeah, no, my number one is Moon Knight, and that's for personal reasons, because I have a lot of relatability to his sleep challenges. And when I saw that, I was like, dude, this is me on TV. And my wife just chuckled because she's like, I knew you were going to say that. So for me, Moon Knight's up there. WandaVision second. If I had to go third, well, if I'm going third, it's probably Loki. Like, Loki was really good.
It was really good. So I'm super excited for season number 2. I think that's all we have for tonight. We've got to get ready to record Undisputed. But is there anything else you want to add before we hop off?
No. It was a good run, and I'm excited for our next show, our Marvel's Celebrity Deathmatch.
Yes,
Royale.
our Avengers Celebrity Deathmatch. All right. Well, that's one team, one love. It's the Marvel Tribe.
Yeah.